And how much will this rising conflict in the Middle East dominate discussions between the Prime Minister and Joe Biden?
Yeah, a good bit, I would think. It'll just bring AUKUS into focus, right? It will bring the submarine deal into focus. It will bring the ongoing long-term supply chain discussions into focus. I don't think this is what AUKUS was really designed to sort of address. In fact, I know it wasn't. It was sort of designed as a counterbalance to China. We get that. But certainly this action in the Middle East has brought this into focus much quicker than I think a lot of folks expected. So what we're seeing with weapons to systems, for example, what we're seeing in drone technology, what we're seeing in the need for critical minerals that goes into so many of these high-tech weapons that are being used on both sides of the Hamas-Israeli conflict, it will simply turn up the temperature, turn up sort of the crucible that Mr. Albanese is coming into. But again, I don't think it changes the outcome.
Well, let's talk now about the US response to the ongoing situation in Israel and Gaza. We heard, of course, that news this morning that another 2 hostages have been freed by Hamas over the weekend. 2 American Israeli hostages were also released. How much involvement would the US have behind the scenes in these sorts of situations?
Oh, a good bit. It's been an all hands on deck experience in Washington, D.C. for the last 2 weeks, what we call an all of government. My guess is, again, I don't talk to folks inside the White House now with a different party in power, but my guess is that they had a meeting of the entire cabinet and said, what can each of you do to help with this effort? That includes the Department of Education and the Department of Interior. This is a very serious matter for our government. So to think that these discussions are going on at the very highest levels on a regular basis would be accurate. There's, I think, several dozen Americans confirmed as being held hostage by Hamas. We take that very, very seriously. I was glad to see the 2 get released today. I don't have a lot of hope for a lot of the other ones, but I am satisfied, even though it's the other party in control right now in Washington, D.C., that they are giving this 100% of their attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that Joe Biden has been really pressing Israel to delay ground invasion plans to allow time for the release of these hostages as well as shipments of aid into Gaza. How does the US weigh this up? They want to get aid to the Palestinians and release the hostages. How delicate is this diplomatically?
Danica, to say this is one of the most delicate diplomatic situations the last 20 years would not be an exaggeration. You've got this situation where you have to ask yourself, how long do you wait for the hostages? If they release 2 today and they hold another 200, how long before they release the other ones, and how long will you wait or encourage the Israelis to wait on the invasion of Gaza or any of the other retribution they intend to inflict here? At the other side of the country, you have a situation with Hezbollah on the north side of Israel in Lebanon. That's extraordinarily tense. There was additional fighting there today. In the background, you've got Iran, who supports both Hamas and Hezbollah. And of course, you have Iran's connections with Russia and what's happening there in Ukraine. So as you can see, this is all a very, very delicate situation. Again, probably the most delicate of the last 20 years. And it could very quickly get out of control. Let's hope that it doesn't.
Look, fingers crossed. We heard from Barack Obama. He released a statement in the last few hours. He said, quote, I'll just read it. Even as we support Israel, we should also be clear that how Israel prosecutes this fight against Hamas matters. What do you make of his intervention in this?
Yeah, his words are right, but what you're seeing is the beginnings of a crack within the Democrat Party, and this has been something the Democrats have been able to avoid the last 2 weeks. The Democrats are almost 50-50 on a split between, say, supporting Israel generally and supporting the Palestinians generally. The White House has been extraordinarily firm, much more firm than I think many Republicans expected the president to be in the support for Israel. And that has been solid for the first 2 weeks. You're starting to see cracks on it, and it's language exactly like that. Again, the words are fine, but what the intentions are, if you read between the lines, is, you know what, we still really like the Palestinians as well, and we're not real big fans of what the Israelis are doing. This is elements of the Democrat Party saying that now. So it doesn't surprise me that former president is saying that. It's going to be something that the Biden administration has to deal with. I think they want to move quickly because the longer this drags out, the more they run the risk of losing political support within their own party at home.
Well, look, it's fascinating to see how this is playing out then domestically as well. Mick Mulvaney, we have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Danica.